If you're over 40 and your under eye concealer looks fine at first, but then it creases, settles, or it just looks worse as the day goes on, then this video is for you.
You walk in my direction, I go the other way. I start to stutter when I speak. You understand, but my knees go weak. What's happening to me?
Me being team no sleep, dark circles have started to haunt me. And then I turned 40 and creasing became an issue. And I started thinking that maybe it was the products, but turns out it wasn't 100% the concealer. It was how I was applying it. So in this video, I'm going to explain and show how I prep, place, blend, set my under eye so that it looks brighter, smoother, and that it lasts all day. And then you can decide if this method is worth trying. So let's get into it. Ooh, that's good. So first thing is prep. Yes, of course you want to prep your skin for your makeup application, but you also want to prep your under eye. Not just with moisturizer, not with SPF, but with an actual under eye cream. Moisturizers and SPF can be a little bit too heavy for your under eye, so you want something that is made specifically for under eyes because they are so sensitive. I use the Clarins Retinol Total Eye Cream because it's for firming, it's for dark circles, it's for puffiness, and I apply it with my ring fingers because those are the weakest fingers on your hands. And then after applying your under eye cream, you want to let it set. So I know usually when you are doing your skincare, you apply your under eye cream, but if by chance you apply your under eye cream before applying your makeup, make sure that it sets for a good minute or two before going in with any kind of product. Now, color correction is going to be your best friend, but actually first, let me prime my skin because I actually am going to get ready for the day and I have some videos to record. So I'm first going to do a little primer. You definitely want to prime your skin for your makeup look, but also do not put any kind of primer under your eye. This is just for the surrounding area. Now that we let that sit and get a little bit tacky, let's talk about color correctors. These are going to be your best friend when it comes to hiding dark circles or even dark spots on your face. So yes, I have three here. First is the Bobbi Brown. This is probably my favorite. This is in the color Very Deep Bisque. As you can see, she is heavily loved. I am scraping the barrel, so I am using her for only special occasions, but she is probably my favorite color corrector. Unfortunately, I don't even think you can buy this in store, so I just have to remember to buy online, but she's my number one color corrector. And then I have the LA Girl Pro Concealer. Is this in the color? This is the Orange Corrector. Now, she is highly pigmented. So a lot of people have said how it's too orange for them because then it just shows through their makeup or through their other concealers. You have to be very strategic, I should say, when using her. But I was using her for a very long time. She's almost empty as well. And then the one that I recently picked up is the one from Morphe. And this is in the color Papaya. I feel like this is probably a good mix between the two. She's not as pigmented or her coverage isn't as heavy, but she's still a good color corrector and we're going to use her today. So first I'm just going to apply some under my eye. Nothing too heavy because we're going to apply other products. And then I do apply some around my mouth because certain lippies could give you a little shadow and we don't need those kind of problems. So really there's no need for baking. So I just take a nice fluffy brush. You could take an angled brush if you want to. And this is the Sephora Pro Airbrush Detail Brush number 57. And I just go ahead and blend that out. And then what I like to do is I just kind of dab where the darkness is heavy and then around the edges I kind of blend it out. And actually for my under eye, I'm going to use an angled brush. But I just do like a nice little dab, no real wiping, especially under the eyes. But you can see how it instantly just covers up that dark area. And then it really helps when applying any kind of product under your eye to look up so that you can just really have a nice smooth base. And then just look at the coverage. So you can see how it really covers up that dark area under my eye. And then with any kind of excess product, I do bring it up on my lid. That's just something that I do. You definitely don't have to do that, but I always just use the most out of the product that's on the brush. Oh, and also if you are someone who wears glasses and you have the dark marks in here, you can definitely apply some products in that area to cover up that dark spot as well. Also, it helps if you have an extra mirror so that you can see close up into what you're doing, because sometimes you can really miss some areas. So now that we have it all blended out, it is now time to set her. I know it sounds crazy, But hear me out. We just applied a cream product that we want to stay in place. The only way to make a cream product stay in place is to set it. If we place makeup or concealer right on top of this, we're just going to move the color corrector around and it's not going to do what we want it to do. So I'm just going to take a pressed powder. This is the MAC Mineralized Powder in the color Dark. I just use this because it doesn't give me too much product on my little powder puff, but I still just dab it off and then I go around and I set, I should say, where I put that color corrector. You could use a loose powder, but make sure that you dust off any excess. You don't want anything heavy. You just want a nice little powder that's just going to set it all in place. And then you especially don't want a lot of powder under your eye because, like I said, we're going to apply other products and other powders here. So don't be too heavy. And especially if you're of big age, we don't need any extra dryness under these eyes. We just want a nice, clean, covered up base. And even with that, my God, that looks good. I feel like I could be done, but we're not. So now the fun begins. It's time to add the concealer. I'm just going to go in with my Lancome concealer for Shade Twins. This is the color 435. I'm going to start by adding a little bit in the corner of my eye. Now listen, I don't want you to apply this right at the waterline, especially if you have some wrinkles under there. You want to come down a little bit and apply a little bit in the inner corner. Nothing too heavy. I know it probably seems like I'm applying a lot, but it's in a thin layer because I wiped off a lot of the excess before applying it onto my skin. And then you do the same on this side. Again, not right up under the waterline. You want to have room to blend it out. And then for lifting purposes, I put a little bit on the outer corner of the eye. Now you want to let her set. This is where you can apply your other products. You can apply your foundation. You can, if you're doing underpainting, you can do your bronzer, your blush, any of that. I was supposed to put on my foundation, but since I'm talking here, I completely forgot my whole step that I was going to do. So I'm actually going to do some underpainting, and I'm going to go ahead and apply some concealer on the middle of my chin, the middle of my forehead, and then right on the bridge of my nose. But again, we want the concealer, especially the concealer under our eye, to set. It should not look wet when we are about to blend it out. So now I'm actually going to go ahead and apply my foundation because I want to point out the fact that I'm not applying any foundation under my eye, right? So nothing goes under your eye except for the concealer products. But you will see how after applying the foundation, the darkness around my mouth is also concealed and gone. Okay, she looks just about ready. So let's talk about tools to actually blend her out. You can definitely use an angled brush. I have a few here. Of course, yes, they're dirty because I use my brushes, but a nice angled brush to get right up under your eye. Or another favorite of mine is an actual powder puff. There's a whole like beef on the intranets of if you're a brush girl or if you're a powder puff girl. I am technically a both girl. So I always start with a brush, or I should say lately, I start with a brush and then I always finish with a powder puff. I don't know what it is about the powder puff, but it just gets that nice smooth finish. And not just for under eye, just like for any blending out cream, I'm telling you, she's magical. So I take an angled brush and I start on the outside corner, again, just kind of giving that inner eye a little bit longer to set. And then once I've blended that out and married the outside to the inside, I then start blending up closer to the waterline. Again, being very gentle and looking up. I grab my mirror, hold it up so I can see what I'm doing, and I get right in that inner corner and cover everywhere that I have put that color corrector. And then notice that I'm just blotting or dabbing, as you should say. I'm not swiping, I'm not pulling, I'm not tugging. This is a very sensitive area, so we need to be as gentle as possible. And if you don't make an ugly face when doing this process, you're doing it wrong. The face, this one, is part of it, but you get right up in that eye. And then I just finish it off by rubbing a little bit on my lid. And then look at that nice, beautiful blend out. Let's do the other side. Again, just blending on the outside first. Now, if for some reason you let it set for too long and it's getting a little bit hard to blend out, you can use a setting spray to kind of wet the concealer and then proceed to blend out. And then again, if you have glasses, don't forget that little spot where your glasses sit. and then go in with the powder puff, and we are going to smooth this out. Ooh, she just looks so good. I don't even know if you can tell the difference. I can see the difference between using the brush and a powder puff, but it just gives you that nice smoothed out filter look. I just love it. Again, you don't have to do both. I'm just weird like that, I guess you could say. So now for like the best part of the whole makeup routine. I love a good setting of the under eye. I just feel like it brings the whole look together. Now, I have adopted the whole two-step process where first to set your under eye, you do with the pressed powder and then you go in with the loose powder. But before, let's even just say this month, I was just sticking with the loose powder. So it's really up to you. So first I start off, I use a Sephora Micro Smooth Powder, and this is in the color Bronze. But regardless of what you do, you first need to go back under your eye to make sure that everything is blended out. So if you have been talking, if you have been smiling, laughing, or just 2 minutes have passed by, your eye has probably creased up and you don't want to set any creasing. So you got to go back under your eye, make sure it's all blended out. Then you're going to go in and grab the product, rub it out in your hand. You don't want any kind of extra product. You want it to look nice and smooth, and then immediately go in to set. Again, just dabbing the product in. Look at that beauty. All right, so now for the other eye. I'm going to go ahead and get the product ready, get the powder ready, make it nice and smooth on the back of my hand. Grab my concealer powder puff to blend it all out. Make sure it's all blended out, no creasing, and then immediately go in. Oh, and then don't forget the lid. So I don't know about y'all, but my lids crease. I guess I would prefer the lid than the under eye, so whatever you gotta do. And look how beautiful that is. Gorgeous. Nice set under eye. Now I'm going to take the loose powder, do the exact same steps. Well, except for the blending out. But you're just going to get some product. I'm going to actually tap some product in the top. This is the LYS Loose Setting Powder. Does it have a color? Probably does. Brilliance. I take some product in the top. Rub any excess off. Again, we want a nice smooth surface. And then I go in and I dab a little product under the eye. I don't do any baking, especially because I have dry skin. But this is just to really brighten that under eye and then make sure that it is nice and set. Just beautiful. Again, getting product from the top, dabbing it off in my hand, make it nice and smooth. This will be a good time if you are someone who has a brighter powder. Like I have the Huda Beauty Umbe birthday cake powder. You could do that instead of just another banana powder. But whatever is a nice brightening powder, this would be a good time to apply it just to brighten that under eye. And then don't forget the lid. And then if need be, I take a little brush and then sweep any extra away. I feel like I put a little bit too much on this eye, which is kind of odd because usually this is the eye that I don't put enough on. But I sweep away any kind of extra product. And there she is, ladies and gentlemen. 2 beautifully set under eyes that will not crease and that will last all day. And now, of course, after you are done all of your makeup, you want to set your entire face. My favorite right now is the L'Oreal Infallible Setting Spray. If you do not have this setting spray, you are playing with your makeup. But seriously, like this is really affordable and it just locks your makeup, your under eye, and it will not go anywhere. It's like hairspray for your face. Do with that what you will. But that's it, my friends. That is what I do to maintain a nice blended under eye, a nice bright, smooth, filter-ish look under eye that lasts all day. If you have any questions, let me know. But I also will have down in the description box all the products that I personally use just in case you want to get your hands on them. And I will see you guys next time. Love you in real life.
Cosmic.